In 1982, two investigative reporters from Los Angeles stumbled upon a story so unbelievable that it forced them to chase its origins for months. Their search eventually led them deep into the Nevada desert, stopping at an old, worn-down trailer miles from anything. Inside that trailer, they were told a story that haunted them for the rest of their lives. The man who answered the door was named Isaac Moore, an elderly gentleman with tired eyes who quietly invited them inside. He sat them down and warned them he hadn't spoken of this in decades. The memories were too painful, he said, but now that he was nearing the end of his life, he felt he could share it one last time. Isaac explained that everything began when he was 12 years old, an age he would never forget. It was 1912, just a year after his mother's death, a tragedy that had completely broken their family. His father, already a heavy drinker, had spiraled into full-blown alcoholism. Discipline in their house had always been harsh, but after their mother passed, it became unbearable. Isaac had two younger sisters, Mary and Katie, both little girls at the time. His mother had a younger sister named Cora, a woman who collected porcelain dolls. Isaac remembered visiting her house often. Every room was filled with those dolls. She never had children of her own, and he always sensed she treated the dolls as replacements. Among all of them, one doll stood out, Milona, the only one she ever named. Aunt Cora treated Milona like a living child. She whispered to it, kept it beside her at all times, even slept with it sitting in a chair next to her bed. The doll always unsettled Isaac. His sisters were frightened of it too. When he turned 13, Aunt Cora suddenly fell ill and died within days. No doctor ever figured out how. After Cora's death, her husband came to their home late that night, carrying several large boxes. He handed them to Isaac's father and quietly explained that Cora had requested the dolls be passed down to the children after her passing. One of the boxes had a note taped to it. "If you are reading this, I am gone. Please take care of Milona. She is special, and if you treat her well, she will protect you." Isaac felt a chill run down his spine as he opened the box. There, staring up at him, was Milona, her black dress stark against the pale porcelain of her face. His sisters, Mary and Katie, were visibly shaken too. Their father, drunk and grumbling, ordered them back to bed, and none of them dared to argue. Isaac closed the lid on the box, but sleep that night eluded him. All he could see was Milona's face, staring at him, unblinking. The next morning, he walked to the kitchen, only to find the boxes gone. Confused, he went to the living room and discovered that his father had taken the dolls out, scattering them across the room. Milona was easy to spot, always dressed in black, while the other dolls wore white or pink. Isaac kept his distance, knowing better than to challenge his father, and he whispered to his sisters, who shared his unease. A few days later, while the siblings were eating dinner, a sound froze them in place, running footsteps above them, moving rapidly from room to room. Isaac's heart raced, and Katie began to cry. Their father was absent, as usual, and the three of them stayed huddled in the kitchen for hours, waiting for him to return. When he finally arrived, stumbling and drunk, he barely noticed their fear, only muttering to go to bed. That night, they barricaded themselves in Isaac's room, sleeping together, terrified of what haunted their home above. The next morning, Isaac couldn't shake the feeling that the dolls were somehow connected to the footsteps. He cautiously peeked into the living room, scanning the scattered dolls. Everything seemed in its place, except for Milona, who sat in her usual black dress, staring blankly as if nothing had happened. Isaac shook his head, trying to dismiss the unnerving thoughts, and went to the kitchen to make breakfast. Months passed with an uneasy calm. The family nearly forgot the terror of that night. But then it began again. One Friday, a night when their father often stayed away until morning, Isaac was brushing Katie's hair in the bathroom when the footsteps returned. They pounded through the house above them, moving from room to room. He dropped the brush in fright. Mary and Katie froze in terror, clinging to him. "Isaac, what do we do?" whispered Katie. Isaac didn't have an answer. The sound grew louder and closer. His sister screamed, huddling in the corner, while he quickly locked the bathroom door and tried to comfort them, hiding the fear that clawed at him. They remained trapped in that bathroom all night, waiting for their father's return. When morning came, he watched their father stumble home, drunk as usual, and collapse into his room. Isaac and his sisters were still shaken, but unharmed. They discussed running away to Nevada to live with a beloved uncle, though they didn't know how. They speculated about the footsteps. Mary and Katie feared ghosts, while Isaac had his own suspicions, never voiced for fear of scaring them further. No matter what they thought, one thing was clear: they could never tell their father. He wouldn't believe them and might even punish them. For days afterward, the siblings remained on edge, jumping at every little noise, knowing that whatever haunted their home was still there, watching. Time passed, and things seemed to settle for a while. Then, in October the following year, their father went out of town for the weekend with his new girlfriend, leaving Isaac alone to watch over Mary and Katie. He noticed that his father was drinking less and seemed happier, giving them all a glimmer of hope. It was a quiet Saturday night, and the children went to bed normally. Isaac soon fell into a troubling dream. He found himself back in Aunt Cora's house, walking up the stairs as distant voices echoed from above. As he approached her bedroom, he saw her sitting on her bed, holding Milona in her lap, speaking softly to the doll. Suddenly, Milona turned her head toward him and smiled. The image terrified him, and he bolted downstairs and outside, his dream ending there. But the nightmare felt real, because moments later, Isaac awoke to the sound of running footsteps racing past his bedroom and heading downstairs. Panic surged through him. He shouted for his sisters. "Mary, Katie, are you all right?" No answer came. Flipping on the lights, he ran to their room and froze at what he saw. Blood coated the floor, and his sisters were missing from their beds. At the foot of one bed, a small portion of a body peeked out, horrifying him beyond words. Isaac knelt down and saw the unthinkable, the lifeless, bloody bodies of Mary and Katie. Shaking with terror, he tried to wake them, but it was hopeless. Then, his eyes fell on something else, little footprints in the blood, and above the heads of his sisters, written in crimson, was the name Cora. Frozen, Isaac realized he had to escape the house immediately. But when he looked at Milona, she sat in the corner, hands drenched in blood, mouth streaked with it, staring at him. The fear nearly made him collapse, but he forced himself to run. Isaac sprinted through the house, his heart hammering in his chest, turning on lights as he ran. He stumbled, almost falling over scattered furniture, but pushed on until he reached the front door. Bursting out into the night, he ran as fast as his legs could carry him toward the nearest neighbor's house, his uncle's, since Cora's husband had moved away. It was nearly half a mile through the dark, but Isaac didn't care. Fear gave him speed, and nothing could stop him. When he reached his uncle's door, he pounded on it desperately, shouting for help. His uncle quickly sent one of his teenage children to call the police, while he hurried to Isaac's house to assess the scene. Isaac knew, deep down, that his sisters were already gone, and no intervention could bring them back. Hours later, the police arrived and took Isaac to the station.
They treated him as a suspect, questioning him at length. Isaac recounted everything from the footsteps in the house to the name written in blood and Milona covered in it. The officers exchanged looks of disbelief. They claimed they found no footprints, no writing in blood, and no traces of the dolls having been involved. Isaac didn't care. He knew what he had seen. Those horrific images would remain etched in his memory forever. His father returned late Sunday, icy and silent, clearly suspicious and distant. The police eventually closed the case, blaming a random intruder for the murders. They could not determine the weapon or exact method, only guessing strangulation followed by mutilation, and even noted small bite marks. The most terrifying moment for Isaac was returning to the house after the tragedy. Milona sat there as if nothing had happened, staring directly at him. That night, lying in bed, he made a decision. He would escape to Nevada the very next morning to live with his uncle, leaving the horrors of that house and the memory of his sisters behind. Early the next morning, Isaac quietly packed his few belongings and left the house, never looking back. The memory of that night, the blood, the footprints, and Milona's staring face haunted him, but he knew he could never remain there. He made the long journey to Nevada, where his uncle welcomed him, offering safety and a chance to rebuild his shattered life. Isaac never saw his father again. He heard later that his father sank further into despair and alcohol, eventually dying alone in the very house where so much horror had unfolded. The fate of Milona and the rest of Aunt Cora's dolls remained a mystery. Isaac never dared return to the home, and he never spoke of the dolls again except to the reporters who listened in disbelief to his chilling account decades later. Despite the skepticism of the police and neighbors, Isaac never doubted what he had witnessed. The evidence may have been erased, the dolls cleaned and the footprints vanished, but the terror was real. The images burned into his mind, the bloodied bodies of his sisters, the writing on the floor, and Milona's lifeless yet menacing gaze would never fade. Now an old man, Isaac Moore shared his story as a warning and a confession. Knowing that some horrors defy reason and explanation, the memories remain as vivid as they were that fateful night. Though time has passed, the fear, grief, and the unsettling presence of that cursed doll linger in his mind, haunting him still. For those who dare to hear more, stories like these continue to emerge from dark corners of the world, tales of terror, loss, and inexplicable evil. But some, like Isaac's story, linger longest, leaving a mark that can never be forgotten. For more chilling horror stories, please subscribe.